cake is hideous. Hi, it's Laura. I'm in the Sweet Handmade Cookies kitchen today working on my Valentine's Day samples. But first, let's take a look at what I did yesterday to get ready for today's baking and decorating day. Valentine's Day. A day to celebrate love and affection, and what started as a Christian feast day to honor a martyr named Valentine has evolved into a cultural and commercial tradition. Growing up in the Netherlands, it wasn't something the country celebrated, although I'm sure it is promoted today. However, Valentine's Day was always a special day in our home because it was my mom's birthday. And most fun of all, not only was my mom born on Valentine's Day, she was born on a street in Amsterdam called Valentine Street. So I made my first Valentine's Day samples in 2012 and have made many different designs over the years. Because the majority of my work is custom orders where the customers tell me what they want, for a long time I approached pre-sale samples as an opportunity for me to make what my heart desired, whether it was the style of cookies or the color scheme. What I quickly learned though was that my customers had a preference and some of my favorite designs were flops in the sales department. So in this video, I will share my insights with you so that you can increase your sales by making what your customers really want. I have made my dough and now it is time to roll it into thin sheets. Some people chill their dough first and then roll, but that always seemed counterintuitive to me. Chilling first and then trying to wrestle that cold dough into a flat sheet seemed like an invitation to pain, so I have never done it that way. And since investing in my dough sheeter, I've been rolling my dough in these extra large freezer bags, which means storing the dough in the freezer is so easy. When I'm ready to use it, I just pop out the number of sheets I will need, thaw for about 20 minutes, pop it out of the bag, and start cutting the shapes. Now it is time to wash up the dishes. Working in a clean space is not only a necessity, but something that makes me more organized and keeps my mind clear. I love a clean kitchen. Since my cookie kitchen does not have a dishwasher, I wash my dishes using the Health Board approved 2-sink dishwashing method, and that includes scraping the dishes, washing the dishes in hot soapy water, rinsing the dishes in running water, soaking the dishes in a diluted bleach solution, and allowing the dishes to air dry. The tools I'm washing here are dedicated to the dough making process. I store them all together and just pull them out when I need them. I have a second dedicated mixing bowl and separate tools for when I make royal icing. As I mentioned earlier, I have made many Valentine's Day cookie samples over the years. Red, pink, and purple color schemes, funny Valentine puns, and pop culture references have always done well for me. Anything artsy, funky, or with non-traditional colors have always been flops. So for me to reach my sales goals, I have learned it is best to stick with traditional, and that's my advice to you. The majority of my customers are women, and a lot of those women are moms. That means I gear my designs to be appealing to moms, girlfriends and wives, and best friends. And I ask myself, what would they give their kids, their sweeties, and their besties? The next thing I do is I look for Valentine puns. My biggest success has been pun sets, sometimes funny, sometimes silly, sometimes smutty. So I gather a list of options and put them on a spreadsheet because I love a spreadsheet. I have decided to do my traditional sets of 2 cookies, but I'm also going to do some singles that won't be boxed. I haven't done single cookie pun sets in the past, but they will be at a lower price point, which I think is a good option to offer. The cost of the box, paper shred, and ribbon that my 2 cookie sets comes in adds an extra $3 to each order. And I'll also do a few cookie sets, one aimed at those in the dating pool, one aimed at weary moms, and one generic one perfect for gifting to a friend. I have finished cutting all the shapes and I'm going to bake them and let them cool. In the meantime, I will be working on my royal icing. I start by mixing meringue powder and water using a regular whisk. And then using my KitchenAid mixer, fitted with the whisk attachment, I whip the ingredients until foamy and white. I add the first kilo of confectioner's sugar all at once, and then gradually add the second bag. Adding the second bag slowly helps to avoid a big, messy poof of sugar. When the icing is fully combined, it results in a thick, stiff icing. I can use it as is and will on some of today's cookies, or I can thin it out to flood cookies. I started with white icing and began flooding these large cookies. From this point onwards in the decorating process, I really struggled with design and decisions. When I'm making a set for a customer, before I even start making the dough, I know exactly what the final set will look like. This set I am making for no one in particular and everyone at the same time, of course. And I had a hazy idea of what I wanted the cookies to look like, but nothing was set in stone. I planned on making 8 large square cookies for puns, and while I was cutting them, I decided to make an additional 4. When I was sorting the cookies to get ready to flood, one of the big cookies had a large air bubble on the surface, and I tried squishing it flat and broke the cookie. This has only ever happened to me once before, so it was a bit of a shock. I tried to roll with it and decided my additional 4 designs would be reduced to 3. Then, while flooding them, I realized the colors would be off for the additional 4 and decided on the spot not to make them after all. But notice I leave the last 4 cookies unflooded. I should have flooded 1 more cookie to accommodate my original 8 designs. Like I said, I was struggling and my stress level was rising. If I was certain what the end result was going to be, I wouldn't be this wishy-washy. But I'm just being honest with you here today. This is just how it goes sometimes. So next I am making red icing. Here things are finally going to plan. When you are making any dark color, red included, it is important to remember that dark colors take some time to develop. So don't aim for red in the mixing bowl. Time will help make the color perfect. At the same time, I'm working on the consistency of the icing to make it thin enough to flood a cookie, but not so thin that it runs off the cookie. I bag it up, I tie a knot in the end of the bag, and I can start flooding. The first of these cookies will be Valentine cookies. If you are a Parks and Rec fan, you will certainly know what Valentine's Day is. And then next I'll flood a cookie that will be a 3D heart, and that will be part of a 4 cookie set. Thank goodness all went well here, and all these cookies are keepers. Next I will make pink icing, another classic Valentine color. However, things are once again not going according to plan. I grab this bowl, which is sized perfectly for about 250 grams of icing, and I decide on the fly that I need 300 grams. I don't, but without a clear plan, I just make mistakes. So then from that point on, I struggle. There's just too much icing in this bowl. Adding water to thin the icing just leads to a mess. And if you don't know this about me already, I don't like messy. My hands were sticky, and the counter was sticky, and the bowl was sticky, and it took me twice as long to get this icing consistency right compared to the red I made earlier. It was close to 10 minutes of being sticky. Figured it would be the last of my troubles. Haha, funny. Not the last of my troubles. Okay, I've washed my hands, and the counter, and the bowl is soaking in the sink, so now it's time to flood some more cookies. What a relief. The flooding process, one of my favorite parts of the job, is going well. Thank goodness, I will take all the wins I can get today, and I'll let you watch me be successful for a bit. Let's move on to some fun cookies, like these slices of toast. One half of this cookie is a slice of peanut butter toast, and the other half is grape jelly toast. An outline in brown, the peanut butter, and the grape jelly. Now I'm working on the base of the donut. And then I'll move on to the base of the Pop-Tart. I'm going to go back to the toast, fill in those unfrosted sections. And then I'm going to add the chocolate part of a chocolate-dipped strawberry. Now this cupcake. Seriously, the less said about this stupid cupcake, the better. I will discuss it in a bit, and I'll add that it's probably not a cupcake, it's probably a popover, which is maybe why it gave me so much trouble. These are going to be 2 sets of conversation hearts. No troubles here, thank goodness, but it is expanding the number of colors I am making today. Next, I am adding the frosting to the Pop-Tart cookie along with some heart sprinkles, and I'll place those heart sprinkles using tweezers so they all go in the exact right spot. And then I'll also add frosting to the donut cookie, and it will also get some heart sprinkles. You know, I've never eaten a Pop-Tart, but I have eaten donuts. In fact, I made a beautiful tray of baked donuts for one of my kids' birthdays a couple of years ago. They were fantastic. Finally, I'll also add a white chocolate drizzle, it's pretend of course, to the strawberries chocolate dip section. Here I'm using super stiff icing mixed only with a little white food coloring to brighten it. Then I put it in a piping bag with a star nozzle and add this great finishing touch to these Valentine cookies. I'm also going to use the same technique on the 3D heart cookie to mimic Lambeth piping, which is a cake technique that adds intricate layers of piped details. After about an hour of struggling with this cupcake cookie and how to finish it, I decided to use the star tip that I had just used on the Valentine and cake cookies. And guess what? It turned out really ugly. Not at all my standard or style. In desperation, I added some heart sprinkles, and that just ended up being a waste of sprinkles. In more positive news, I moved on to the strawberry cookie, adding the red section. I had added the leaves earlier, and then I had to make a decision about that darn cupcake. You can't see it very well, but here I am with my head in my hands, wondering what to do. Do I scrape the cookie? How could I redecorate it in a style I would actually like? Should I just start over with a different cookie? At this point, I just called it a day. I was so frustrated with myself. While I had hoped to finish all of these cookies on this day, I knew a good night's sleep would allow me to see everything in the morning with fresh eyes. Hi, everybody. Okay, it's a new day. I've eaten, I've rested. I think I can get through this cupcake fiasco. I have to tell you, I have 4 cupcake cutters. I had predetermined one was too big, one was too small, and one actually was missing. And so that's the one I originally wanted to use, but I ended up with this one that probably is a popover cookie cutter. And I just couldn't see my way out. And I was very frustrated. So, as I said, today's a new day. I'm going to make a beautiful cupcake with that new or no longer missing cupcake cookie cutter. And all will be well. Let's get these cookies finished. Here's my list. Lots of little tasks, but being able to check them off one by one will be very helpful and satisfying. Let's get started. I'm happy to use my Eddie, the edible ink printer, for a few of the cookies, starting with this Polaroid cookie. It will go with a Polaroid camera cookie and the text, "We just click." I found this great stock photo image to use for the sample, but my customers can replace it with a picture of themselves and their sweetie. This second cookie will be all printed with a fantastic glass of whiskey and ice cubes and the words, "You rock, Valentine." And I'll also print the text for the rest of these larger cookies. I could pipe it with icing or write it with edible ink markers, but this is faster and neater. Stepping away from Eddie, I'm now going to check off the items on my list one by one, starting with adding the border to the Polaroid picture cookie. Yesterday, I forgot to flood the plaque cookie to go with the peanut butter and jelly, so that's next. And I'll add some eyes to the PB&J, and I'll add some catch lights, you know, for realism. Here I am adding the crimped edges to the Pop-Tart cookie. It took 6 minutes to get this all the way around the cookie, but it turned out just how I wanted it. And now my overhead projector shines an image onto the cookies, and it makes my piping precise and consistent from cookie to cookie. These are the larger cookies, and I'm starting with the I Like Your Package cookie, and now I'm working on the We've Got Chemistry cookie. I'll add the outline of the beakers after. And now this is Will You Be Mine? And next is Bestie with that adorable bubble tea cup. And now I'm going to go back in for the finishing touches on the chemistry cookies. and then I'll get started on the Polaroid cookie, which I'm going to flood in sections. And flooding it in sections helps to give definition without adding extra lines of piping. Finally, let's finish up the bubble tea cookies with a straw, a lid, eyeballs with catch lights, of course, and a smile. Now I'm adding some embellishments to the heart-shaped cake cookies, and let's finally tackle the new cupcake. This cherry cookie will be accompanied by a plaque that says, "I love you, cherry, much." Let's talk Valentine's Day. If you haven't heard of it, it's from the show Parks and Recreation, so in other words, a fictional holiday, but it's jumped from the show to regular life. Here's how the main character from Parks and Rec, Leslie Knope, who loves breakfast by the way, described it. What's Valentine's Day? Oh, it's only the best day of the year. Every February 13th, my lady friends and I leave our husbands and boyfriends at home and we come and kick it breakfast style. Ladies celebrating ladies. It's like Lilith Fair minus the angst, plus frittatas. It's a great show and a fun reason to treat your friends. I have to type some text, which is a job I enjoy doing. I found this particular font in Microsoft Word. It's called the Serif Hand. I printed out all the little puns I'm piping, and I project the words onto the cookies. My icing is slightly thicker than my normal flood consistency, and I have a tiny end cut off of the icing bag. Do you know what's left? The cupcake. Here we go, leaving nothing to chance. I made a little mock-up of the icing swoops and swirls I want to put on this cookie, and I'm using my projector to shine that onto the cookie. I'm piping it in sections so there is definition between the swoops and swirls, and I've added some small Valentine dragées as well. I am printing the last of these conversation heart cookies, and finally I'm done. I made it to the finish line. 13 colors of icing, just under 3 dozen cookies, 3 long days, 1 tiny meltdown, and now that it's all done, I finished with a smile. I've taken pictures of the cookies so I can post them on my website and hopefully make a lot more of these cookies for Valentine's Day. P.S. I can't wait to share the Valentine Day cookies with my lady friends, Barb, Heather, Sally, and Helga. If you enjoyed this video, a look into my cookie kitchen and how I go about putting a set of cookies together, please give my video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you're interested in ordering cookies from me, I'm located in Ontario, just north of the GTA. Visit my website or social media channels. Information is located in the description of this video. And thanks for watching.